next guest from the TV reality series Growing Up Gotti. She's also the daughter of the late John Gotti, and she's just written a new book, This Family of Mine. Please welcome Victoria Gotti. Victoria,
I love your house.
Thank you.
Love this house.
Very nice. Nice for dinner parties.
So how are you?
Fine. How are you? It's so...
I'm a big fan. I have to say that first. I always felt like you were like my big sister, my best friend. You know, Jerry Maguire. You know, she's like the voice of reason. You know, although Tom Cruise. I mean, you know, that was a tough one. You know, telling the younger sister not to go at Tom Cruise. I don't know.
I know. What was I? Well, I was doing that to keep him for myself.
You know what?
My character's subtext.
The Inquirer. Yeah, of course. There you go.
Exactly.
You're smart.
But what, I mean, really, what a life you've had. That we don't pick our situation when we're born, and you're growing up as a little kid. You don't know that your father kind of has a double life. Is that a good way of saying it?
A different life, yeah. Double life, yeah, absolutely.
And when do you first realize that something's different, that your dad, I know he was in prison at one point when you were kids, and you guys would go to see him, and you really thought you were going to see him at work.
Well, he had told us, he kept both worlds so separate, and he was great at that. And it was what he wanted us to believe, and then there was the reality. So he would set this whole thing up that he had work when he was away from home, that he ran this construction company. And when we would go see him once a month, there were these tall buildings, and he would say, this is what we do, this is what we build. So I'm in front of a classroom at 7, and I'm telling this classroom that this is what my dad does, and he's my hero.
School, yeah.
I'm in school, and this young girl yells out from back of the room. She said, what are you talking about? You know, my father told me last night, your father's in jail. And I was 7, and I remember I was so upset that I literally peed in my pants in front of the class. It was like, if one wasn't enough, I had 2 for the rest of the 4 years of elementary school. So, you know, that was how I basically found out. And years later, of course, started to put other things together. But really, it was always denied in my house. It was denied. Tabloids, newspaper clippings, everything was still denied. It was not something anybody talked about.
Gosh, it's hard to reconcile when you're a kid, when you know, I mean, you must sense it too when you were out, that there was either sometimes a privilege or a prejudice based on, depending on where you were, because of who your father was.
Absolutely. You really never knew. There were people that would approach us, when I say us, the siblings, mainly myself, they were rolling out the red carpet, so to speak. And then there were other people that would approach us and almost had, you know, this fearful, we never really knew what to make of it, but we knew that people would gravitate towards this man, namely celebrities, you know, in restaurants that would...
So that somehow would confirm that everything was okay to you as a child.
Somehow I thought it was okay. Somehow they loved this man.
Is there any point when your dad's in prison towards the end of his life where you spoke to him and said, Dad, you know, I mean, what do you say when you really come to some kind of acceptance that your dad had a brutal, very brutal side to him?
You know, I think he thought at some point we were having more adult conversations, and he would say things to me like, which kind of made sense to me now that I thought about it. You know, you watch things like The Sopranos, or you see movies like The Godfather. These are men. What we all really don't realize is that these are men that choose this. And they know going in what it involves. They know coming out what it involves. They know what the rules are, so to speak. And they want it. For lack of a better word, they want it still. And it's almost like it's their own secret society or government. And they play by their rules. And it's accepted, the good with the bad. So when Dad got really sick, we would have smaller conversations to that effect. And he would say things to me like, which I put in the book, one of his last conversations with me, his last words to me was, my life dictated that I took each path I took.
We'll be right back. More with Victoria when we come back.
Up next, Victoria Gotti's real-life drama.
He was your escape.
Yeah, he was. And then to find out one day that not only is he a part of this world, but that he had begged to be a part, that he had kept going back and back and back until finally that just destroyed me.